I was in London for Christmas and I went to go and catch up with Nick and Charlotte for some
Mhm.
tea and cakes, which they love to do at SHOWstudio, tea and cakes, very British. Then they told me that they would be doing this project and would I be interested in coming on board with it? And I said, of course, like I love ballroom. As long as everyone that's part of it is happy for me to be involved, then
Yeah.
I'm happy to be involved, of course. And that's how it started.
I think one cool thing that I think we both experienced was that openness, right? It's like you can kind of sniff out a fake one, and it's just like they were quite considerate and open to us, and we were curious and open and just like we love it. We have a way into it, even if we've never competed in the ball scene before. Like there's just a warm appreciation for it, and I think that kind of back and forth and not it was less give and take and more of like a back and forth and like we're all where we should be and working with who we should be working with over this shoot over this film. It just
Yeah.
that warmth was like you could just like feel it like every day, every minute there, right? Like it was super great.
All of the House of Gucci was such incredible, amazing, beautiful people and characters. And it was really, really cool to just meet them all and meet them
Yeah.
all on it like as a collective and also in like an individual one-to-one basis and get to know all of their characters and personalities and like their history within the scene. Like, I know a bit about ballroom, of course. Like I've watched the documentaries, I've watched Pose, I've been to a couple of balls, but I don't really know or understand like all the politics and the complexities and like the true meaning of it and how important it is to so many people and like just it's almost like an Olympic sport, I felt like. It was so interesting, like hearing them all talk about their history within the ballroom and like their different categories and like who does this and who does that and why you can't do this if you do that. It was actually very like fashion.
How did you feel like your oeuvre and your style like could contribute and kind of like it's like this is what I know, and then how will this complement what I don't know, which is the attitude and that world, and then those politics and just that language. How did you put yourself into that and just kind of cut and paste, so to speak?
mm, I think with my kind of styling and my aesthetic, it's really just about elevating people's individual personalities to like sometimes I feel like okay, this is probably a terrible reference, but sometimes I imagine like a Pokemon and then
Yeah,
like you like their final most full crazy form. So
yes,
like I love to just work with people who they are and what they want to be and who they can be. And I love like performance, I love drama, I love glamour, I
right
love
there.
bombardment, I love eccentricity. I'm not afraid of like more is more is more at all. I love that. So I think that's like a world where I can like slide in there. I was really just trying to listen to what they were saying and
Mhm.
like take it on board and work around that and make suggestions. But I think it was a very natural thing. Like they understood, like obviously I love drama and I love glamour, and they saw a bit of my work before, so they could see that. And I would hope that they would feel comfortable with me and know that they're in like a safe space to be themselves, express themselves.
Yeah,
And I definitely some situations, of course, I would be more authoritative, but that was
yeah,
not my area or space. I was just trying to guide the direction. But there was a lot of things that I was like, wow, this is fashion. And they were like, no, 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 no. This is not the ballroom. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like this shoe is so fashion. This makes the look. And then they'll be like, that won't be accepted there. And I'm like, okay. So I have to just listen and collaborate. It was almost like the same work as like if I'm prepping a music video for like one of the biggest stars where there's like all these different personalities that I need to portray, all these different characters that we need to portray. But, they need to look unified. But within that unity, everyone has their own individual way of expressing themselves, their own individual likes and dislikes. So, like, sometimes that's the biggest challenge, like making a group look visually unified when you have such strong individual personalities and characters in it. That being said, there was a lot of prep. And of course, also everyone's nervous. I think we had maybe 5 weeks to prep for it. Ideally, I would have like 5 months because there's so much that goes into it, and like everyone really has to look good, and everyone has to have like their certain accessory that matches with the earring that like, but maybe it's like an archival piece that like no one has ever got before, or maybe it's a piece straight from a celebrity on the red carpet, or there's just like so many different elements to think about. So it was a lot of prep to get to the place that we got to. It was a lot of work, a lot of conversation backward and forward, a lot of drama about whether the FedEx was going to arrive on time, whether this was going to happen. And also, I have to say, really, like, thank you to all the designers that supported us, because it was a special and unique project, you know, and the designers have like a lot of different people trying to get their clothes all the time, and it's always busy. It was like the Oscars the day after we did this. Yes. So it was challenging to be able to find all the pieces that we want in the time. The designers like really came through for us, and they were really excited and understand about ballroom, and it's so inspired by ballroom as well. I'm much more interested in style than I am in fashion and the business of fashion. I love to see designers creating beautiful clothes out of their dreams. Like, that inspires me. I love to see people expressing themselves and styling themselves and finding their own identity with clothing and with fashion and with style. And I love to be able to help people in that and help them find this like amazing feeling about themselves, and like help them glow from the inside, you know, and like elevate and just feel so strong and so powerful and so special.
How do you think fashion could kind of like do better? That was a recurring conversation with so many of the House of Gucci members. How do you think fashion, with that identity and with that kind of finding yourself and that catalyst, how could fashion do better in the ballroom scene to kind of communicate that and be a much more supportive member, rather than like a kind of like borrowing member where it's like, oh, that seems cool, let's just take those aspects and make ourselves cooler? Cool.
I mean, maybe it would be good if people just take an interest and go and like experience it and watch and learn. I understand, like, you know, for example, like a brand might have 28 looks a season, and they have to divide that 28 looks between like every single magazine, every single red carpet, celebrity that wants it. So, you know, I think there's a lot of people that genuinely are interested and would support, but literally just physically can't right now. I wish that people would take a bit more interest in what is going on around them and really understand where a lot of their inspiration are coming from, even their words, their language. Like, we watch things like Pose, for example, on TV and take on the language of it. But is anyone like really conscious of what the words they're saying and where they've taken that from, you know, and our attitudes and there's like certain looks, certain things that we do. I think it would be good if people would maybe just pay a bit more respect and attention and love to all of those places that they're taking inspiration from. I would say the Gal Rab was really special for Lola, because that was something that was on Cardi B, like the week before the Grammys. It was an iconic moment. It means a lot, you know, like that puts you in the same space as someone that's your icon. It puts you on the same level. You're literally wearing the dress straight after they wore it for an event that has been loaned to you. Like, that's like a special thing that I would imagine makes you feel quite strong and empowered and on this same level as this incredible woman that we all look up to and love and adore. Viktor&Rolf was a brand I was talking to for this, because they're like one of my favorite brands. They're always like conceptual, interesting, creative, over the top. They love the drama as well. So I was like, it's kind of like a perfect marriage. So I was talking to them, and at first we were going to borrow some dresses from the brand new couture collection, but it was like so crazy to get it. We would have to create this like trunk special built, ship it on a boat over from Amsterdam. It just became this like insane thing. So then Marlon was like, oh, why don't we talk to them about the royalty collection from like a few seasons ago? And he was like, I really love this idea of royal And I was like, yeah, we can definitely work with that. There's always something that's like a really strong theme to work around. So, we spoke to them and they were super helpful and really, really great and supportive to us. And they sent over this like very, very special, it's a couture piece. So it's not like you can't just buy that. That was really, really special. And I felt so grateful that they supported us with that. And, that makes Marlon, he's already a king, but it just makes him like feel his king energy even more. It's like what I was saying, like we can use clothes to elevate and bring out our final form in a way. I think Shia, like, that's just her personality anyway. For her, it was probably the most easy of everyone in a way, because also she's a model, right? So she's used to like turning up, being dressed, wearing these different things, like walking, this is kind of her world. She does it a lot. So with her, I think Shia walked in and felt amazing and walked out and felt amazing. It was just a flawless. It's just natural. I think she's always that good. I love Casablanca as a brand because I find it like unique and timeless. I think like it's not related to like a trend of the moment. I think like you said, it's more related to an attitude. And I love this like feminine masculine mix, but in like quite a different way. It's not in like a non-binary way necessarily. It's just like this hyper masculine but hyper feminine at the same time. Attitude of that is like, I'm rich. It doesn't necessarily mean financial. It just means like I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I'm fulfilled, I'm living my best life, I'm feeling fabulous. Like that's how I feel from Katha, and I thought just that would be like a really gorgeous mix with Ira. I love the romance of that look. And the idea of mixing that romance with Ira, who's like so strong and like buff and like cut and like quite sharp lines, but like gorgeous, and these like beautiful eyes. And I just thought the romance, feminine masculine vibe of that look was perfect for Ira, who's also like, I believe, the king of sex as well.
Yes,
and that really
exactly.
That gives me sexy. Like that's a sexy look.
Yeah, I think that was maybe the thing with Ira. Like you're not going to get the conversation because he's not out communicating with words. He's about communicating with his attitude and with his, for lack of a better term, machismo. Like a very just like sensitive but like concise machismo. You get what you get and you're gonna love it when you get it. Rima was so kind of like boisterous on Thursday, and then on Saturday she had her game face on. You know?
Definitely. She was ready. She was like mentally, it was like literally like an Olympic sport. So we had to like dress her in these screens that were like right by the side of the catwalk, because we couldn't have her in that outfit, like walking through everywhere to get there was impossible. So we were dressing her maybe like 10 minutes before they were due to go on. And she was just in the middle of this giant crowd of people naked getting dressed. And she really had like, she was in it. Looked like an athlete preparing to take on their race. Really the same with like every artist that I work with, whether they're a model, whether they're a performer, whether they're an athlete, when they're preparing to do their thing or to go on stage or to go in front of camera or whatever it is that is their art form and their skill that they do, it's really like in it, getting ready. I mean, I do it too in my way. Like before everything, I'm like, so focused. Do that, do this, do this. Oh, that.
The shamelessness, but also the pridefulness and just like that fly as fuck attitude that you need. And then that, I don't know, that curated elegance, which is timeless. Like the attitude shifts. And so the elegance takes on a different meaning.
I think that's like one of my favorite words to describe Casablanca is timeless. And I feel like it's really about its self-identity and not following trends or anything like that. And I love the approach to a feminine side of masculinity from like a straight cis man perspective. it's quite unique. I feel like it's beautiful. Like the designs are beautiful. When you wear those designs, you feel like fabulous. You feel wealthy and rich and like expensive, but in all of the ways, like not necessarily just money ways.
Mhm.
And it's just such a unique style. Like you can see when you see something by Casablanca, you know it's Casablanca straight away. It's very, very unique, and like it's a very loved brand that people are really excited by, and a lot of people are wearing. It's cool when you can like be around other people really appreciating and being excited by this and feeling fulfilled by it. Like that was really important for me, and it was important for me to just like learn and be involved and be educated and understand a bit more about this inspiring world. That's, like I said at the start, that's all I want to do, is just experience new things and get to understand people and get to see things I've never seen before, and know how it works and learn a bit more about it and learn about the people behind it and learn the history of it. Like especially something that's so inspiring and has so much impact culturally as ballroom. And then it was also really important for me to be able to like help the House of Gucci get access to that fashion that they wanted, you know, to like the labels and the brands, where like I don't necessarily think that, from my perspective, like actual labels and brands is not the most important thing in style. I can understand why from their perspective in that competition, it like means so much to be able to have that access and affirmation and support.
Did you have like a favorite look? Was there something where you were like, oh God, this is just perfect?
My favorite look was that Gaurav look, because I just thought it's so beautiful. Like the color was gorgeous, the shape was gorgeous, the way it curves around the body, the way it like emulates the body's curves in these like amazing pieces up here, the construction of it. I think that's just like a beautiful dress for me. I loved. And then I also loved Ira's Casablanca look. I just love the texture of it and the details, the embroidery. Like I love seeing how much work and artistry has gone into making those things. And I love the idea of men, like masculine men dressing in that way. And like it just opens up a lot of things. Like sometimes we feel like we've gone past that, but it's also it's important to like keep projecting that image and seeing people presenting one way and dressing another way, and like, you know, I think those are my two favorite looks.
The D Square show from January was that, where it's like,
I loved it. So good.
Fantastic. It was fucking fantastic. It's like the show is so important. Yeah, it's their history, but it just shows that like these ideas have never been dusty. They've always been modern. They've always been one of those designers, two of those designers who've been leading the charge for this type of maleness. It was never about like a pastiche, even when it was. And so just, yeah, like what the importance of Ira's look very much, I think, connects to fashion in that D squared way, to where it's like, as you said, it's not necessarily non-binary, but it's relevant and it's powerful and it's important and it's fucking instructive.